All right. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. So, it's been a long time since I uploaded anything on my channel. So, let's continue. Today, we're going to be connecting to the internet through a physical means. Like, you're going to use Cisco PacketTracer, but you're not going to use logical, you're going to use physical. So, let's begin. So, you first click on the physical, and it'll bring you here. When it brings you here, you're first greeted with a plain canvas. You're going to have to add a new rack and a table, because the table is where our PC is going to be and the rack is where our switches and routers are going to be. So let's begin. You're first going to need a router. You're going to use the 4321 router. Just put it right here. You can put it up there, but since our PC is going to be here, it's better to put it right here. So put the router here. You're going to need two switches. So for the switches, you're going to use a 2960 switch. You're going to need two of them. So put it right under it. And you're going to have to add another one right under it here. So you can change the name to 1. I don't know why it's 3. Change the name to 2. Alright, so we have the router and the switches. 2 switches, 1 router. And you're going to need a PC. So you come to there's a PC right here. Put it right on top. And you're also going to need a wireless router. Now, the wireless router here is called WTR. Is it TN or TR? Oh, I forgot the name. Sorry, it's supposed to be somewhere here. Yeah, WRT. Sorry. So this one here, put it right up here. So we're going to need a wireless router, a PC, 2 switches, and a router. All right. So let's begin with the wiring. First off, you have to check, and I think everything here is on. Yeah. So you begin with connecting the wireless router. We're going to connect the wireless router to the switch 2 right here. So going to take a copper straight through. So this is a copper straight through. Going to plug it right in here. And you're going to plug it right under here. So the the switch 2 is directly talking to the wireless router. And also we need for the routers to talk to each other. So we're going to know you need for the switches to talk to each other. So you're going to need another copper straight through cable. So I'm going to take this one, plug it in here, and plug it right up here. So basically they are talking to each other since there's a link between them. And you're going to need it to also talk with the router, since most of the configuration is going to be done on the router, which is going to then relay onto the first switch and onto the second switch. So another copper straight through cable right here and into the gigabit port 000 for the router. So we have this done. We have the connections that we needed. And if you're wondering why I'm going in this direction, is because I'm using a script right now. So this is how it's supposed to look as compared to the script I'm looking at right now. So this is how you're going to use the connections. You can do it any other way, but this is how you're going to do it today. So first off, you need to configure the router. Well, we're going to first change the names first for every one of them, and you're going to do that as I said in my previous video. You're going to need a console cable. Console cable enables the computer to talk directly with the router, the switch, any of the switches. So put it right here. So basically now I can configure the switch. I can configure the router. And with my previous video, I told you about with Cisco PacketTracer, you could actually use the command line interface to configure it directly. But since we are we are going to think of this as a physical world, whereby you cannot configure a router by just clicking on it and going to the command line interface. You have to actually use a console cable to either connect to a PC or a laptop. So this time around, you're going to use a console cable to configure everything. So the console cable is connected. You double click on the PC, it opens up. You're going to desktop, and you're going to terminal, since that's the application that you're going to use to configure the router. So click on OK, and why is our terminal so plain? This thing doesn't look right. So let's go into the PC, the physical, and let's check to see why it's so plain. Alright, physical, on, off. Alright, okay, it's booting. Let's wait to see why. Can just fast forward it since we are in Cisco PacketTracer, but in real life you cannot actually fast forward anything. Alright, fast forward it. Okay. Console and oh, I guess I know why it's not working. Sorry about that. I placed the console cable in the wrong port. Supposed to be in the RS232. Sorry, I'm very sorry about that. So put it in, and then you go into the desktop, terminal, and okay. Now we have the router ready to be configured. So first type no, hit enter. All right, so enable configure terminal or configure T. We're going to change the host name. So host name Sam. Alright, so today I'm going to use Sam instead of Kelly from my previous video. So Sam. Now you've configured a name. Okay, let's make it. Oh, you can also hit that up button if you want to repeat a command. Sam router. Sam router 1. Alright. Oh. Sam router 1. Sam router 1. Alright, so now we have the router name changed to Sam router 1 from the default router. We changed it to Sam router 1 right here. Alright. Now let's do the same thing for both switches. Can close out of this. Since the console cable is not showing on the the front of the switches, you have to right click on it and then inspect rear. Now you're going to take the console cable out and put it in the console cable of the switch. Now you're going to go back into the terminal and do the same thing we did for the terminal. Alright, so enable, and sometimes when you type in the wrong thing, because you hit enter, it's going to run a search for that specific command that you typed in. So it sometimes takes a long time before it gives you an answer that, oh, this command you just typed in is invalid. But since this one is Cisco, you can just fast forward it so that it can up the speed of the search. So enable en configure terminal host name Sam Now I'm going to make it switch 1. Alright, so this is the name. Change it to switch 1. Change it from the default name switch to SAM switch 1. Alright, now you can close out. Do the same thing, inspect rare, and then inspect rare for the second switch too. Oh, so you're going to take it out and plug into the second switch. Now it's plugged in, go back into terminal, do the same thing. Enable config t hostname SAM switch 2. Oh, sorry. Switch 2. Alright, so we have the names of everything configured. Now we know the names and everything that we go into. So we're going to put it back into the router. Inspect rare, take it out, put it right back into the router. Alright. Now, according to the script here, we are going to configure the ports. And the ports on this one, I'm going to configure the ports on the switch, the router. So, the ports here, as from the physical here, we have 2 gigabit ports. We have the first gigabit port and the second gigabit port. And I'm going to configure them accordingly. Oh, sorry, can show you here. So 2 interfaces, the first gigabit port and the second gigabit port. And this is what you're going to configure here. So enter config t so we're going to configure the gigabit port 0, 0, 0, since that's where the connection is from. So you see, you're not going to configure this one because there's no connection that will relay onto the switch 1 or the switch 2. So you're going to configure the port here, which is gigabit port 0/0/0 instead of gigabit port 0/0/1, because if you configure this one here, you have to change the connection. You have to change the connection from here to here in order for anything to be applied. But since you're going to configure this one here, there's why would you like? Oh my god! Oh my fucking god! All right. So I don't know why it's not working. Let me just put it here and then take it out and put it back in here. All right. So let's go into it and configure it. So first off, you're going to say interface. You can and then sorry for the mistakes. I have a new keyboard and it's messing up my typing. So interface, or you can just shorten it into int. Gigabit 0/0/0/. So this is the port that you're going to configure. So type in this, hit enter, and because the port is currently blocked, I'm going to say no shutdown. All right, so no shutdown is going to open up the ports. So now we can configure the IP addresses that we've been needing for us to connect to the internet. So the first one is going to be, I'm going to just hit the up button, 0.0, since 0.10. The reason why you're doing it for you're making it 0.10 is because it's going to be many IP addresses, and since this one already only has 2 gigabit ports, you're going to need 5 according to the script. You're going to need 5 IP addresses, and all those 5 cannot be stacked onto just gigabit port 0/0/0, since that one only allows one. But since you're doing it 0.10, it's going to, it's more like a sub. Is under this configuration here. It's under this port, and it's going to be a sub interface. So basically, everything that you're going to do is not going to be on this, but beneath it. So basically, it's not going to overload it, because you can actually go as many as you want, since you're going to do it .10, .20, .30, .40, .50. So everything's going to be under it. It's not going to be on it. Because if you're going to configure all this 5 IP address on this, the last one is the only one that's going to be registered, because everything else will be overwritten by the previous one, or the next one that you're going to type. So that's why you do the dots. So .10 is going to keep it the first IP address on .10. .20 is going to keep the second IP address on .20. So that's how it's going to be, since we only have one ports to configure it on. So .10, hit enter. So so now you're going to type in encapsulation, encapsulation. You can actually shorten it, but for learning purposes you're going to use the full thing, encapsulation .1Q, and then you're going to type in the 10. So you're going to encapsulate the 10, and now you can type in the IP address, IP add 192.168.93.1. all right, so this is the IP address, and just typing in the IP address will not work, so you have to type in the subnet mask. So the subnet mask is going to be 255.255.255.224. So this is what the subnet mask is going to be. So hit enter, and now it's registered. Also, so we're going to go on to the next one, which is .20. Just hit exit. You can continue typing it, but I prefer to exit, start afresh, and then just use the up key, arrow key, the up one, and just type 20, hit enter, bring up the encapsulation, change it from 10 to 20, enter. The IP address, the subnet mask is going to stay the same. Going to change the 1 to 33, hit enter. So you're going to do the same thing, exit, change it to 30, encapsulation, 30, IP address, change it from 33 to 65, and exit, change it from 30 to 40, encapsulation 40, IP address from 65 to 97, exit, change it from 40 to 50, which is going to be our last one since the script says 50. Change it from 40 to 50, encapsulation, change it from 97 to 129. 129. All right. Now exit. So you can actually change the. You can actually check whether everything that you just configured is correct or not by typing in do show IP interface brief. So with the show IP interface brief, it shows you the port and the IP address. So this port, this IP address, this port, this IP address. And if you've checked, the gigabit 0/0/0 is unassigned. So every configuration that we just did was on the specific ones, which is the .10, .20, .30, .40, and .50, which is all under the gigabit 0/0/0. But if we didn't do this way and we just tried to configure everything on just this port, only this one will be registered, because everything that if you typed in this one and you type in this one again, it's going to overwrite the first one. So the last thing that's going to remain will be this one, which we don't want because we want 5 IP addresses. And also, since you're going to talk to the internet, our internet IP address should be configured so that the machines know where to access or where to gain access to the internet. So, and that's where the gigabit 0/0/1 comes into play, which is going to be our internet, which our internet IP address is going to reside. So interface G0/0/1, and you're going to you can do the node shutdown so that it will be faster, but we can do it right now. Let's just do it. Node shutdown. All right. Oh, sorry. No, shutdown. All right. So now you're going to add the IP address to it. IP address is going to be 11.0.0.93. Okay, so this is going to be the IP address for gigabit 0/0/1, and to check whether it's there. Okay, so it's here. So if we also would have done the .10, the IP address here, you wouldn't be seeing it here, you'd be seeing it under it, which will be right under it, which is going to read gigabit 0/0/1.10. But since we configured it on the 0/1/0/0/1, it's right here. All right, so according to the script, we are done with the IP address assigning. So the next one that we need to do would be to enable or allocate the ranges as to where every IP address will reside in the switches. So to do that, I'm going to take the console cable out of this and put it in the first switch right here. All right, so I mostly use the command line interface, so let's click enter. Let's just close it out, come back in, and the switch should be ready for us to use. All right, this is our switch. Enable config T. Do show run. All right, so as you can see, there's nothing configured under all these ports, and now you're going to make it so that everything is open for business, so that it can actually accept or access the information that we just placed into the router one. The router one. All right, so let's begin. So interface or int, just int so that it can go faster, int range. Interface range is going to show you the range as to which port to access to accept which particular IP address. So interface range F0/1 to 11. So these ports are the first people to access the first IP address. So basically, from 1 to 10, it's going to access .10 from what we configured on the router. Switch port mode access. Okay, so you're giving it access to the configurations on switch 1. Oh, sorry, router 1. And then switch access VLAN 10. So creating it, the switch created the VLAN 10, and to do same for 12 and 24. So 12, since there are 24 ports currently available on the switch. So same commands, mode access, change the VLAN 10 to VLAN 20. Alright. And also, since our switch is connected to the router through the gigabit ports, or the gigabit access, which is this one here, you have to enable, right now it's blocked, so you have to enable it before the information will flow through. Think of it as traffic. Right now there's a barrier that is blocking them from talking, so you have to enable those, you have to disable those barriers in order for them to talk to each other. Alright, and to do that, you need to say interface range. The gigabit ports are just 2, so sorry, range 0, 1, /1 to 2. Oh, sorry. So this correlates with this 2, so 1 and 2, 1 to 2. Alright, hit enter, and then switch port mode trunk. Alright, so now see, it changed the state from down to up. So basically it opened, or it disabled the barriers that was blocking it. Alright, now we can check to see whether our configuration was worked or not. So hit exit. The reason why I type in do is because when you're in the config, you cannot just type in show run. It's not going to work. I'm going to say do because I want to enforce it to do what I'm just typing right now. So do show run, and it works. And as you can see, from 1 to 11 is VLAN 10, from 12 to 24 is VLAN 20. And now the configuration of this ports, the gigabit ports, are changed to switch mode trunk, which means they disabled the barrier between them that was not allowing them to talk. So we're good for switch 1. I'm going to go into switch 2. Close this one out. Rare. Alright, take it out, put it in switch 2, and we're going to do the same configuration as we did for switch 1. Alright, enable config T. So just like the switch 1, the only difference is you're not going to use 10 and 20, you're going to use 30 and 40. So oh, and then 52, since we configured 5 IP addresses, you're going to use 10, 20, 30, and 40. Oh, 10, 20, 30, 40, and 50. Sorry. So interface range, which is showing you the range as to which the IP addresses will be in. So within those range, which is 1 to 11, the first IP address will be there, and within the 12 to 24, the second IP address will be in those ranges. So range 1 to 11, switch port mode access, enter, switch access VLAN 30. So since we did 1 to 20 on switch 1, I'm going to start from 30, because if you do 1 to 20 again, the switch or the configuration is going to think, oh, so you're going to relay the same information on switch 2, which we don't want, because if you do that, then the first two IP addresses are going to be the only thing that we see. But we don't want that. We want to see every IP address that we just configured on the router. So it's going to be 30 this time, which relates to the 30 dot 30 that we configured on the router. So 30 and 12 to 23. The reason why I'm doing 23 is because you're going to leave the 24 for gigabit, for VLAN 50. Because when we do it 12 to 24, that means that we don't have any ports available that we can configure for VLAN 50. So you're going to do it 12 to 23 this time, instead of how we did it for the switch 1. So mode access VLAN 40. All right, now for the last one, 24. Mode access VLAN 50. So with this, every IP address will have a place to be in. And like how we did for the first one, we also have to disable the barrier, because although they're the same, they're still not talking to each other because there's still a barrier between them. We're going to have to disable that barrier real quick before we can continue. Gigabit 0/1 to 2, since this one also has 2 ports, gigabit ports. And switch port mode trunk. Alright, so with that, we are done with the configuration of switch 2. Now we have to check to see whether everything that we did was correct. So check this one out. Instead of me, at first I would have just typed do show run and hit enter, and it'll work because we were in the config. But now that we are not in the config anymore, we cannot type do, because it wouldn't know what to search for. So this time around we can just type show run, and it's going to give us the things that we need. So as you can see, from 1 to 11 is VLAN 30, from 12 to 23 is VLAN 40, and then 24 is VLAN 50. So the lone wolf. And the gigabit ports are configured, or you've disabled the barriers that was not allowing them to talk. So now everything is flowing. So now we have a current flowing from here to here, and from here to here, and also from here or straight up to the wireless router. All right, now you're done with the configurations. The next thing that we need to do is we're going to name the VLANs. Although we've done it, you have to name them in order for us to know. So you're going into switch 1 this time, according to the script, or the instructions. Let me say it like that, the instructions. Put it back up. This starts, so we just put it here. Bring this one up again, just put it in there. Yeah. Let's go back in. Okay. Switch 1 this time. All right. Just to be sure. All right. All right. So Going to start with typing in VLAN. And the reason why we're doing this is because we want the switch 1 to know that, okay, so there are VLAN 30 and 40 downstairs. So I want you to relay this information to them. So when the information from the router reaches switch 1, and switch 1 collects the information that it needs, there will be VLAN 30, 40, and 50 remaining. And those ones, the reason why you're doing this command is so that the switch 1 would know that, okay, so this information is not for me. I'm going to relay it on the next one, since the next one has the VLAN 30, 40, and 50. So this is what the command does. This is what this command does. So name VLAN 30. Exit, do the same thing but VLAN 40. Name VLAN 40. And then 50. Alright. So now I'm going to check if what we did was correct. Type in show VLAN, brief. Alright. So it looks to me that, alright, so now it looks to me that it's active, and now we know that the information is going to be relayed to switch 2. Alright, so that's all we needed. Now although we have the DHCPs, we have to actually add a although we have the IP addresses configured, we have to add a DHCP, and the DHCP is going to be what is going to be relayed onto the computers or the wireless router, and I'll explain that after we finish the configuration and I show you that the reason why we did that one. So because if you don't do the DHCP, although the IP addresses are done on the router, it's not going to be able to be assigned onto the computers or laptops without the DHCP. So in order for that not to happen, we need to configure the DHCPs, and that's what we're about to do. Put it back into the router because you have to do it there. The router is the main source of everything. So alright. Close it out, go back in, hit enter. Alright, in router 1. So you're going to configure 5 DHCPs. Alright, this is going to be fun. Let's go. Enable config T. Now the commands for it is going to be IP DHCP poo my poo network 192.168.93.0 255.255.255.224. This is our first IP address, which is going to be the network. So the network is going to be 0. The last digit, is going to be 0. Hit enter. The default router is going to be 192.168.93.1, like how we typed in as the IP address. That's what the default is going to be. Enter, and then the DNS, which allows you to be able to connect to the internet, is going to be 11.1.10. Alright, so the first configuration of the DHCP is done. Going to go into the next one. I like to exit, but you can continue if you want. You can continue with the second command, but I like to exit and start first. Alright, DHCP pull my pool 2. Since we did 1, this is going to be 2. Alright, enter. Network. Now I just have to change the IP address, the last digits. So it's going to be 32 instead of 33, like how we typed in the first time. And the default is going to be 33 rather. 33. And the DNS is going to stay, it's going to stay the same. I'm going to exit. I'm going to exit. You can actually continue if you want. Change it from 2 to 3. Change the last digit to 65. Oh, sorry, 64 rather. And change the default to 65. Let me take the 3 out. Alright. And DNS stays the same. Exit. All I'm doing is just hitting the app key so that it's faster. Change the 64 to 96. Change the default to 97. Sorry. DNS stays the same. Exit. 5. IP address. Change it from 96 to 128. Default, change it from 128 to 129. DNS stays the same. And with that, it's supposed to be done. Our DHCPs are done and ready to go. So we're going to check it out. If you're actually done, show run. Show run shows you everything that you've configured. So if you're having any problems, you can just type show run, come in here and then check what you did wrong and change it. So alright, DHCP pull my pool 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Alright, so we have all the DHCPs configured. Now we're going to have to test it and see whether it worked or not. Go into the PC. Let's connect the get a straight through cable in order for us to actually access the internet. Here, access our IP address, sorry. Let's plug it into the first one here, just to check whether the IP address is correct. Change from static, have to change it from static to DHCP. Come to command prompt, type ipconfig /release. Oh, sorry, release. It releases everything and then renew. Let's check whether what we did was correct. And boom, we have IP address right here. The subnet mask is correct. Our gateway is correct, and our DNS is also correct. So thankfully, it worked, and that's great. That's great. All right, so you see, from this drop-down menu, you can see that what we checked was the first fast Ethernet port, which was F01. Now let's check the F02, which is the VLAN 20. Let's check to see whether to give us a different IP address. Take it out. Let's put it right here, 12, right at the start. Do the same thing. Release, renew. Release, renew. Let's check what it's going to give us. Alright, it says failed, meaning there was something wrong. Oh, I know why. You actually have to wait a bit for it to turn green. I was rushing a bit, so I couldn't actually read anything. Now it's green. let's do it again. Release, renew. All right, and here it is. So IP address is here, the subnumbers is here, the default is here, and then the DNS is also here, meaning we configured it correctly. And now we're going to check whether the information that we told it to relay onto this one is actually there. Take it out, put it in here. You wait for, you can just fast forward it for it to turn green. Go back in, release, renew. Let's see whether it's give us, yep, and it gave us another one. So this is how, so now the information from here that we configured here is relayed here, and now that the ports are filled with the correct IP addresses, the remaining is also relayed down onto the switch too. All right, let's check VLAN 12, VLAN 40. We just checked VLAN 30, so let's check VLAN 40 to see whether that one is also working. All right, and boom, that one also works. Great. All right, seems that we configured everything correctly. And now the VLAN 50, which is the fast internet 0/24 that we configured. Let's check to see whether that one works. And we can actually just take it out and then put this one in so we can check. But since there's someone already connected, let's try and see whether my friend here has an IP address. All right. So, and DHCP, boom. Here is our DNS, our default gateway, and our IP address. Seems like everything works. Great. Everything does work, which is wonderful. Give me a minute, let me check something. Okay. I wanted to see whether there's a port there, but it turns out there wasn't. Now we're going to go into the web browser and access the internet, since that's what we talked about to begin with. We're going to type in the first IP address, which is dot. And this IP address, if you recall, we got it from here. Let me just bring it down. Okay. Wireless. Oh, no, not here. Yeah, IP address right here. This is the IP address that we're going to try and connect. You can also see it here. Now, let's go back. Go. Let's see whether this one works. It's going to take a bit of time to see. Request timed out. Stop. Go back in again. All right. Let's take this one here and then put it right here. Let's see something. Oh yeah, sorry. The reason why it didn't work the first time is because it had no way of communicating with each other. So let's try this one and see. Just stop it first and fast forward it real quick. Oh, sorry. Put it back in. Since this one is also a router, it's actually supposed to give us an IP address. So before this, let's try and see. Release, renew. Although it's a wireless router, it's supposed to give us one. Yep, and it did. Our DNS is here, our IP address, gateway is here. And so this is the gateway that we needed. All right, it works. Let's go back in. 198, sorry. dot 168.0.1. Oh, sorry, dot 1. All right, go. Let's see this time around. Let's see whether it's going to work or not. Still give us a request timed out. Seems like I'm doing something wrong. Alright, let's check something out. Stop. Command prompt. IP config. Oh. Alright. Oh. Alright. Paste. Go. Alright. Okay, so you had to actually copy and paste it instead of typing it there. So the name, the username is admin. So it turns out we're doing it wrong. You're not supposed to type it in. You just copy and paste it. And the password is supposed to be admin. All right. Okay. Yep. And just like what we saw in, give me a minute. Why are you not opening? All right. So just like how what we saw in the wireless router, which is the GUI, that's the same thing we're seeing on the PC. So the PC is actually showing us everything that is supposed to be seen in the GUI right here in the web page. So with this, we know that we can access the internet, because if you couldn't access, if we couldn't access the internet, this wouldn't be possible. And with that, that brings us to us being able to access the internet. But well, let's try. So one more thing. Just because you're able to see the connection here doesn't mean we're supposedly able to see the internet or to work with the internet or connect to the internet. So close this one out. You're going to close that one out. And from the instructions here, you're supposed to add a new router, which is going to be called internet. So we're going to add a new router. This is going to be called, internet. All right. So internet router is here. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to pull this one, put it right here, and you're going to get a cable straight through from here. If you remember correctly, we configured an internet IP address here. You can connect it right under here. So this is what it's going to look like. This is what it's going to look like. Connection from here and a connection from here. All right. So you're going to configure everything on the internet router too. Connect, going to the internet terminal. Okay. No. So enable, and this is already done. Oh. And this has already been done a couple of times, so I don't need to explain what I'm doing right now. So enable, show, oh sorry, And done. So this is the configurations needed. All right. And now, just like we configured the TCP pools for the router 1, you're going to do the same thing for the internet. IP DHCP. All right. And the DNS, as we all know, is going to be the same thing as always. That server is going to be 11.1.1.1.10. Okay. Now, every configuration that we need on the internet router is done. Close out. Take the console cable out. Go back into the internet, the router 1, and let's make sure the router the router 1 knows the existence of the internet router. Okay. Oh, and in order for us to do that, we're going to use the IP route. The IP route is, as its name suggests, is a route that actually enables the routers to talk to each other. And for basic reasons, we need the IP route because we want these two to talk to each other, because this one is going to be our internet, and without them talking to each other, I'm not going to be able to connect to the internet. So basically, the internet has all the information that we need, but without the IP route, you're not going to be able to access those informations. So you're going to use the IP route to be able to access the information between them, and although it's going to be accessible, there are actually a lot of ways that we can access them, and actually more efficient or faster ways, but you're not going to use that now. Right now, you're going to use the IP route. And unlike the internet where the IP routes actually had IP addresses in them, this one's going to be 0000. The only thing that we need is the name IP route tag to it, because then it's going to be able to access things. This one's the internet is going to actually know which router is supposed to access thanks to the IP addresses that we placed into the IP route. But this one doesn't need one because this one's not actually giving out anything, it's just receiving. Okay, so are going to get this information, and it seems that everything is all right. So now let's try to ping the internet. We hope this one works too. So IP ping 11.1.1.2. Fingers crossed. And voila, we sent 4, we received 4, and we lost none. That's good, meaning our internet is working. This is our internet IP, so it means our internet is working. And with that, we now know that we're now done with the configuration of how we can connect to the internet. And mind you, the internet could be anything. This one we just made ourselves, but the internet could literally be anything at all. So with this, we are able to know that, oh, we configured everything correctly and our objectives has been met. All right, thank you for tuning in. The next time you're going to go a little bit deeper into the routes in which the routers could communicate with each other, which is the OSPF and the eGRIP. So with this, thank you very much, and let me know in the comments how I can improve so that it could be accessible to a lot of people and can help others. Thank you. Have a great day.